I saw Avengers Endgame. I've seen it like twice now. I saw it at the big BFI in London, which was really good. Saw it in 3D and everything. It was great. And then I saw it like 18 hours later, maybe a little bit later than that, because my partner hadn't seen it. Yeah, I've seen it twice now, which is a bit excessive. It's like 3 hours. So, but yeah, Avengers Endgame. I seen it. Oh my god, it was so good. So quick little warning before I actually start talking about it. I'm going to spoil the film completely in this, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch this video. Like, go into it completely with a complete clean mind where you haven't seen anything. That's, I think, the best way to go and see the film. But obviously I'm going to spoil the film, so if you haven't seen it, definitely don't watch this video, because it's kind of going to ruin the film for you. Right, so spoilers from here. Don't watch, stop watching, okay, that's your cue. Right, so Avengers Endgame, I'm going to talk about it now. Oh my god, wasn't it great? I'm going to keep saying that with the whole thing. It was so much better than I could have ever thought it was going to be. In general, I loved the way that it really did feel like a finale. Everything really was actually wrapped up in the film. Like, that was I sort of had a little worry, like, oh no, what if they sort of tease it, but, you know, the fact that there's no end credit scene really made it feel final. This is it, like, this is the end of what we sort of know as the Avengers, which was really good. I think this will sort of be like the last time we actually see all of the original 6 Avengers together for sure. Like, they all sort of, as we see at the end of the film, they all sort of go their own ways, they've sort of got their own things going on. We might see them in little cameos, I mean the ones that are still alive, but God, that's so bad. But no, I think we'll still see a couple of them, but not all of them at all now. Like, you know, we might see an occasional appearance from Hulk like every 3 or 4 years, but that's it. They're all sort of off living their happy or not so happy lives. Yeah, the film started with Tony and Nebula being rescued by Captain Marvel, which is really great. I love Captain Marvel, maybe because I'm a girl, but I love Captain Marvel. I think she's so cool. And I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't actually get to see her more in this film. She's probably in the whole film for like 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. But so yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see her, but it was also kind of good because I was worried, like, oh, you know, she's sort of, everybody was sort of putting her down as the one person to defeat Thanos. But so it was kind of good to sort of see her a little bit, but I kind of wanted more just because I kind of love her. I didn't realise going into this film how invested I am in these characters. Like, I properly got into the MCU around Iron Man 2, that was the first one I saw in cinema. And I've sort of seen all the rest of them in cinema. I think all of them. I think I've seen all the rest of them in cinema since, maybe with the exception of one, I'm not too sure. But I just didn't realise how much I love these characters until I went and sat and saw this film. Because sort of, I know I like the MCU, of course, but just the amount of times that I got emotional and cried and just like was so overwhelmed with everything that was going on just made me realise like these characters are like real to me. And I just sort of like, this sounds so lame, but they felt like real people to me. So as expected, Thanos did get killed at the beginning, which was like not surprising to me because I sort of thought he was going to get killed quickly. I enjoyed Thor saying, "Oh, I went for the head," because referencing the other film, which I thought was quite funny. Thor is really funny in this film. I have to sort of state that off the bat. Like, the fact that I was going to do this in chronological order, but I guess I'm sort of tangenting here. But the fact that he became like some drunk slob Fortnite player, I just thought was so funny. Like, and the fact that like Korg and the other guy, I can't remember what his name was, said that how like the word Thanos is almost banned in their house as if he's like Voldemort. I just thought that was really good. The fact that like Thor's character really was good in this film, and I also think Hulk was really good in this film. Like the fact that Bruce Banner's finally been able to sort of master Hulk and Bruce as sort of one entity, and you know, like he says, he's not treating Hulk as a curse anymore, it's almost like a blessing. And like Hulk it up, that was great. Like, I love that he's almost like a little celebrity. 5-year time jump, I wasn't really expecting that. Sort of, it didn't massively surprise me, but I didn't like think they were actually going to have this massive time jump like between Thanos killing them. I thought it would just sort of continue as normal, and they sort of, you saw the after effects of it like directly, whereas they have this time jump and you sort of see where they are after 5 years. But no, I thought it was nice that Captain America's got like his little support group, and like Thor is off doing what he's doing. Like it was really nice, and sort of see them all get back. Stark has a child and a family, and it was really lovely. And you know, I Love You 3000 is 100% going to become like a big meme, and everybody's going to be saying it to each other for years to come. So it sort of takes a while for the film to get going like properly. But I think the slow build, sort of, you know, the first like hour where nothing like, apart from Thanos getting killed, like nothing sort of massive happens in terms of like action sequences. But I think that's sort of important for them to sort of build the world and sort of see, you know, how everybody is and, you know, what everybody's become since the snap. But yeah, it sort of takes about an hour. So I like the time travel bit where Ant-Man is like, he becomes a baby and then he becomes old, because they quite haven't perfected it, and you know, they really do need Tony Stark because that's sort of his expertise. And sort of seeing his reluctance to sort of get involved in the science project was like really interesting, because obviously he's got his family now and he doesn't want to break that up. But you know, of course, he joins them. It's the Avengers. Of course, he's gonna. So we see like Hawkeye becomes Ronin in this film. But only briefly. I'm kind of a bit disappointed about that. I was sort of hoping that he'd been a bit more reluctant to get back into the Avengers, because of sort of, we see him in like one scene that probably lasts maybe 5 minutes, of him sort of like killing all these Japanese Yakuza guys. But we don't really know what happened in that 5-year period, which is kind of a shame, because like I would have liked to see more of that side of Hawkeye, whereas, you know, we sort of see it a little bit and then he basically just becomes Hawkeye again with a sword, which is a shame. I would have liked to see more of that sort of moody attitude, because of obviously, oh, I haven't mentioned this yet, the opening scene, oh my god, that was traumatic. Seeing his family just slowly disappear and him not having any idea what's going on, because of course he's not with the Avengers at this point, he's sort of off in his own little bit. But oh, that was so sad to watch his whole family just disappear before his. But they get the time travel sorted, and they sort of split off into the groups, and oh my god, I loved seeing them revisit the old films. I thought that was so interesting, especially Tony Stark, Captain America and Ant-Man going to 2012 New York and sort of back to the events of the first Avengers. Oh, that was so funny. Like seeing Captain America fight himself, and even just like the really subtle references, him sort of getting choked by his 2012 self and saying Bucky's alive, because obviously at that point he doesn't know it, so as audience members we're just like, ooh. But and then, you know, he gets in the elevator with all of the sort of the Hydra agents, but again Captain America 2012 doesn't know that at this point. And I sort of thought there was going to be like another sort of elevator fight like there was in Winter Soldier, but the fact that all he had to do was say Hail Hydra and they just knew, it was so good. I loved that bit so much. And oh, it was just that one bit where they were sort of, you saw all the sort of stuff that they'd seen, and sort of Hulk beating up or destroying that car, and like present day Hulk just sort of cringing. It just shows how far they've come as characters in the last 7 years. Oh, I just loved that bit. And then, you know, they get one of the stones, but one of them Loki disappears with, which we don't actually see for the rest of the film. We don't see him for the rest of the film. So I'm not really too sure where they're going to go with that, because they sort of explain that there's no sort of like they explain that there's no sort of like the past affects the future, not changing things, it just creates this sort of alternate timeline, which I think is a really interesting way, like how they've sort of, you know, Ant-Man references like, oh, what about Back to the Future and all the Time Cop and all of these old sort of time travel movies, and Bruce is just like flat out, no, that's not how it is, like this is how it is, and they sort of establish their time travel rules quite well, I think, but we sort of don't really know what's going to become of this like extra loop. It was quite nice to see Thor and Rocket get back to Asgard, and Thor gets to have the little conversation with his mum, which I thought was quite cute. I think one of the bits that got me the most was when Tony and Captain America go back to 1970s New Jersey. Was it New Jersey? I'm pretty sure it was New Jersey. And they see Peggy and Howard, and oh, that was so, like, so heartwarming. Seeing sort of, I saw like the Agent Carter on the door before they sort of panned back so you could see it, and I just remember sitting there and going, oh my god, it's Peggy. But oh, just seeing him, like, seeing her through the glass and not being able to sort of interact with her, I love them. Captain America's my favourite Avenger, by the way, in case I haven't made that clear. He's my favourite. And just sort of seeing him, seeing her again, and yeah, it was nice to see Rocket and Thor get to go to Asgard, and Thor sort of got that conversation with his mother that he sort of never had because obviously she died. And I think it was like a real key moment for his character to sort of become Thor again, because after he'd sort of had this 5 years, he'd just become sort of not confident and not assured in himself at all, whereas now he's sort of, you know, Thor again, which was really, really nice to see. And you know, he puts his hand up and it's Rocket's kind of confused as what's happening, and then he gets his hammer back, which I think also like was like a yes, like a proper cheer moment in the cinema. Everybody was really excited. Like the first big character death that happens in the film, which is Black Widow. She dies. Her and Hawkeye go searching for the Soul Stone. That's sort of where they get transported to in the film. And I really did think it was going to be Hawkeye that was going to die, which I kind of would have enjoyed, because he's sort of, you know, like gone down for his family, like his family have died, you know, he would have been like reunited with them in his own, like that's how he thought it was at least. And sort of like when he jumps off the cliff, I thought like, oh, that's it, Hawkeye's dead, but then Black Widow kind of saves him and they sort of have that little last exchange together. I really do like their relationship together. Like I know a lot of people sort of don't actually like Hawkeye, I think he's a bit boring. But I just think this Black Widow and Hawkeye sort of work well off each other, and you know, they sort of have their own little in-jokes that we don't really know what they are. And yeah, when she sort of dies, I did find it quite sad. I don't think I cried, I'm not too sure. I don't think I like proper bawled. But I think I got a little bit emotional. But it was sad when she died, because she's sort of been there from the beginning. She's sort of one of the ones that's been there from the beginning, and she's sort of quite an integral part to the Avengers. But I like that her death sort of spurred them all on, to sort of be like, yes, we're definitely going to get the friends. Okay, right, so sort of little bits happen in between, but I've got to talk about the final battle. Oh my god, it was so good. Like the one at the end of Infinity War was really good, you know, seeing them all sort of battle in Wakanda. But this was something else. Just the sheer amount of sort of moments to talk about in this, like you know, Hawkeye doing his bit and sort of with Nebula. And then, like, the best bit had to be Captain America finally getting the hammer, because they teased it in Avengers Age of Ultron where he sort of lifts it a bit and it makes like a little noise and Thor looks really worried. And then sort of, you know, we see Thor in danger, almost killed by Thanos in this film. And then we sort of see the hammer go across, and at this point I hadn't even worked out it was Captain America. 100% it was Thor, like, holding his hand out. And then we sort of see Captain America holding it, and the whole audience, everybody in the audience cheered at that point. It was just, it was such a good moment. Again, because I love Captain America as well, I was just like, yes, Captain America, finally he got to hold the hammer. We see them kind of getting a little bit defeated, and you know, they're sort of in peril, and then we sort of hear Sam or Falcon say, Cap, on your left, and I was just like, oh my god, like, we knew they were going to come back because they'd done the snap, and you know, we sort of saw Hawkeye's wife, I think it was his wife, Hawkeye's wife ringing him on the phone, so we knew that they'd all come back. But to see them just in that one scene, both times I've seen the film, that bit I just cried my eyes out, because even though I knew it was coming the second time, it's just so heartwarming to watch all the characters finally be reunited, you know, seeing them all coming through their portals and all teaming up together, because that's really the first time they've, like, everybody in the MCU's been together. Like, we sort of saw them have their little battles in Infinity War, but that's the first proper time they've all been together, and it was just such a good payoff, so good to watch them just, you know, some of these characters interact for the first time. I loved that last part. So the big death, I did think Captain America was potentially going to die, especially sort of when Thanos was punching him, and his shield was getting destroyed, and he sort of only had like half a shield left. I thought like, oh no, they're going to kill Captain America now, because I've been sort of preparing myself for like the last year, thinking Captain America's definitely going to die in this film, like, I just have to accept the inevitable, he's going to die, like, at some point. He actually didn't die in this film, which I was kind of like, shocked at. I genuinely thought at some point he was going to sort of die like a heroic sacrifice or die with Tony, but no, it was just Tony Stark that died. And that death, oh my god, that was something. Like, his final line being, "I am Iron Man," throwing back to, you know, the birth of the MCU 11 years ago, was so good. That was so well written, that scene. And then, you know, we see him do the snap and Thanos disintegrates and all of his minions disintegrate. And then just Spider-Man finding him. I think that was a bit that got me the most. At this point I was sort of like a bit upset, but when Spider-Man finds him and sort of, you know, it's like trying to wake him up, almost reminiscent of Infinity War, where, you know, it's kind of Spider-Man disintegrating and dying, whereas in this film it's Tony Stark dying. It really did get me. I was like fully bawling and crying at this point. And then Pepper finds him, and they say, "I love you 3000 again," harking back to the beginning of the film. It was just, it really was an emotional send-off, and I think they really did him justice. And you know, we have the funeral scene after that, which I think again worked really well. Like, I honestly think the first time I watched the film, I spent the last probably half an hour of the film just crying, like on and off crying. So the bit that got me the most though was the send-off of Captain America, because I mean, probably because he's my favourite Avenger, like I'm a bit biased, but it was just so lovely to watch. Like, you know, we see him go back in the time machine to go and return all the Infinity Stones, and they're waiting for him to come back and he doesn't show up, and you see the man standing there on the bench, and like, I hadn't actually realised at that point that he'd be old. Like, I knew, like, of course, to Captain America, like, he's made his way back, but, and then when he sits down and, you know, it sort of dawns on me that he'd gone back into the past and, like, stayed with Peggy, and the last scene where they have that dance, just, it really does mean a lot, because, you know, like, I think Captain America 1 came out in like 2011, so you know, 8-9 years it's been, and they finally got their dance together, and it was just so lovely and such a nice note to end this chapter of the MCU on. And I really loved that section, just to, you know, end on a happy ending. You know, like, even though the characters die, other characters die, they all sort of, I don't know, they all got their piece in some way or another. So, overall, final thoughts on the film. I loved it. It was so good. I probably am going to have to go and see it again, because I just loved it. It was great. But no, I think they really did a great job of wrapping everything up in the MCU, and it really did come to a true satisfying ending. So, I guess if you've got this far in the video, because it's probably quite long, then thank you for watching this video. I'll try not to talk about the MCU in my next video. I don't really know what's going to be on yet, so, you know, we'll see. Could be anything. But thank you for watching this video. Comment down below what you thought of Avengers Endgame. You know, whether you liked it. If you didn't like it, comment what you didn't like about it. I'd be quite interested to hear that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!